What a wonderful day, Grade 8 learners! Welcome back to a brand new season of learning. We are now entering Quarter 2 of our Music and Arts lesson under the Matatag curriculum, the revised K-12 program. For today, we'll dive into the exciting topics prepared for Weeks 1 and 2, so get ready. This will be a fun and creative journey together. Our learning competency for today is this. We will determine distinct characteristics of significant folk performing and visual arts applied in the conventional significant folk performing arts and visual arts of Asia. We will learn how to spot the unique features of Asian folk performing and visual arts and understand how these features are shown in their traditional practices. By the end of our lesson, you should be able to do 3 important things. First, you will identify the key elements that make Asian folk performing and visual arts truly unique. Second, you will differentiate the different forms of significant folk performing and visual arts found across Asia. And third, you will recognize their cultural importance, how these arts play a role in rituals, ceremonies, festivals, and even in the everyday lives of people. So, are you ready to explore the beauty of Asian folk arts together? Now, let's dive into the key features of Asian folk arts. First, we have traditional techniques, the special skills and methods passed down from generation to generation. Second, symbolism and meaning, because every gesture, costume, and color often tells a deeper story. Third, performance and ritual. Many of these arts are not just for entertainment, but are deeply connected to rituals, festivals, and community life. And finally, material culture, the costumes, instruments, masks, and props that bring these performances to life. For this lesson, we'll be featuring 4 amazing examples of Asian folk arts: the Japanese kabuki theater, the Chinese shadow puppetry, the taikon, dance drama, and the Mongolian traditional art of kume. Exciting, right? So let's explore each of them and discover what makes them truly unique. Before we dive in, let's warm up with a preliminary assessment. This will help us see what you already know about our topic. Here's what you need to do. Read each question carefully. Choose the correct answer. Then, write the letter of your answer in your notebook. Are you ready? Let's begin. Great job! Now, check your work carefully. So, what is your score? Did you get a perfect one? Don't worry if not, because this is just a warm-up to help us learn better together. All right, Grade 8 learners, it's game time. We're going to play 4 picks, 1 word. Here's how it works. Look closely at the 4 pictures in each item. Your challenge is to figure out which Asian folk art they are showing. But wait, there's more. You'll also need to unscramble the clue letters to spell out the correct answer. Take your time, and if you need to, pause the video while you think. Are you ready for the challenge? Let's begin! Before we move further, let's unlock some important content vocabulary. Key features. These are the most important characteristics that make something unique or useful. They are what set it apart from others. Traditional techniques. These are special methods or practices that have been passed down from generation to generation. They are part of a culture's history and are valued for their authenticity. Symbolism. This is when we use objects, images, or actions to represent deeper ideas or meanings beyond what we simply see. Ritual. A ritual is a set of actions or ceremonies performed in a specific way. These often carry symbolic meaning and are done for religious, cultural, or social purposes. And finally, material culture. These are the physical objects or artifacts created and valued by a culture, such as tools, clothing, buildings, or works of art. They give us clues about a society's traditions, beliefs, and way of life. Now that we've unlocked these words, we're ready to use them as we explore Asian folk arts. Subtopic 1. Traditional techniques. Let's now explore our first subtopic, traditional techniques. These are the special methods and practices in folk arts that have been handed down through generations. They are the secret ingredients that make each Asian folk art unique. Let's take a look at 4 amazing examples. Japanese Kabuki theater. Kabuki is a traditional Japanese drama that mixes music, dance, and acting in a very stylized way. It has been around for more than 400 years. Here are some of its traditional techniques. Actors use big movements and expressive faces to show emotions. They wear colorful makeup with bold patterns to highlight their characters. Male actors often play female roles, using special techniques to appear more feminine. The stage has tricks like hidden doors and rotating platforms to surprise the audience. Singing, music, costumes, and props such as swords and fans make the performance lively and dramatic. Chinese shadow puppetry. Chinese shadow puppetry is like a magical play of light and shadows. Here are its traditional techniques. Puppets are carefully crafted from thin leather and shaped into people or animals. Performers hold the puppets against a bright light to project their shadows on a screen. Puppeteers skillfully move the puppets with rods and strings to make them dance, fight, or act. Actors give voices to the characters, while musicians play traditional instruments like drums and flutes. Stories come alive as puppeteers narrate ancient tales and legends. Thai Kon, dance drama. Kon is a grand masked dance drama from Thailand. It combines music, literature, dance, and handicrafts. Here are its traditional techniques. Performers wear elaborate costumes that glitter with intricate details. Masks are carefully crafted to represent gods, demons, and mythical creatures. Dancers perform graceful and precise movements to tell stories of battles between good and evil. Hand gestures, called mudras, are used to express meaning and emotions. Music with drums, cymbals, and xylophones sets the rhythm and mood of the performance. Narration and singing enrich the storytelling, making it both entertaining and meaningful. Mongolian traditional art of kume, or throat singing, comes from Mongolia. It is inspired by the sounds of nature. Here are its traditional techniques. Singers produce 2 or more tones at the same time, creating harmonies that sound like wind or flowing water. Breath control is very important to sustain long, powerful sounds. By changing the shape of their mouth, tongue, and throat, singers can shift pitch and tone. Kumi has many styles, such as kumi, sigit, and kargira. It is deeply tied to Mongolian culture, often performed in ceremonies, gatherings, and festivals. All right, learners, let's move on to Activity 3. In this task, you need to complete the table by writing what is being asked in each space. Read the instructions carefully and think about the examples we just discussed. Take your time and remember, you may pause the video while working on your answers. Are you ready? Let's begin Activity 3. Now let's move on to our second subtopic, Symbolism and Meaning. Symbolism is when objects, actions, or characters represent something deeper than what they appear to be. Let's see how symbolism is used in different Asian folk arts. Japanese Kabuki theater. In Kabuki theater, costumes and makeup are not just for show. They carry meaning. Each color, each design represents emotions, characters, or traditions of Japanese culture. Even props are symbolic. For example, a simple paper fan can represent many things: a tray, the rising sun, the wind, rain, drinking, or even cutting with a knife. Everything on stage has a purpose beyond what we see. Chinese shadow puppetry. Chinese shadow puppetry began over 2,000 years ago during the Han Dynasty. One famous story tells us that it started when an emperor, grieving for his late wife, saw her spirit symbolized through the shadows of puppets. Later, during the Tang Dynasty, monks also used shadow puppets to symbolize the soul of the departed. Beyond entertainment, shadow puppetry passes on cultural history, social beliefs, traditions, and local customs. It is a way to teach values, preserve stories, and inspire the youth through art and imagination. Tai Kon, dance drama. Kon performances are filled with symbolism drawn from Thai mythology. The main hero, Rama, an incarnation of the god Vishnu, symbolizes order, justice, and goodness in the world. The majestic characters in Kon, such as kings, gods, and warriors, symbolize bravery, loyalty, and honor. Through graceful movements, glittering costumes, and powerful storytelling, Kon is more than just a dance. It's a lesson about teamwork, values, and cultural pride. It keeps alive Thailand's history and mythology, while reminding audiences of timeless truths that unite people across generations. Mongolian traditional art of Kume, or throat singing, is not only music, it is a strong symbol of Mongolian culture and identity. The sounds produced by throat singers echo the wind, water, and wide landscapes of Mongolia, making listeners feel connected to nature itself. Kume is deeply spiritual. It represents unity, togetherness, and a bond with ancestors and the natural world. When Mongolian singers perform Kume, they express emotions like joy, longing, and celebration. It's a living symbol of their traditions, their heritage, and their identity as a people. Transition line. As we can see, symbolism and meaning make these folk arts more than just performances. They are living stories, carrying deep messages about culture, identity, and values. All right, learners, it's time for Activity 4. In this task, you will work on a word puzzle. Your challenge is to look out for keywords hidden in the puzzle that represent important cultural symbols of Asian folk arts. These could be words related to costumes, props, rituals, traditional techniques, or symbolism that we've already discussed. So keep your eyes sharp and circle those keywords once you find them. Ready? Let's begin the search. Now, learners, let's move on to performance and ritual. In many Asian folk arts, performances are not just about entertainment. They are deeply tied to rituals, traditions, and cultural practices. Let's explore how ritual and performance connect in 4 examples. Japanese kabuki theater. Kabuki is more than drama. It's a ritualistic experience. Performances begin with an opening ritual called shimai, where actors and musicians pray for blessings and success. During the show, audiences take part too. They may throw small paper packets, called hikimawashi, onto the stage to show appreciation. At the end, there's a closing ritual called agari, where performers thank the audience and bid farewell. Beyond this, kabuki itself serves as a ritual of cultural preservation, passing down traditional acting, costumes, music, and storytelling to future generations. Chinese shadow play. Chinese shadow play also blends ritual with performance. Shows begin with an opening ritual, where performers honor ancestral spirits or deities with offerings, incense, or prayers. The audience plays an active role, clapping, laughing, or even calling out during the story, which makes the performance lively and communal. Shadow plays hold strong cultural and spiritual significance, often tied to seasonal festivals and ceremonies, ensuring traditions live on. Finally, in the closing ritual, performers once again offer thanks to the spirits and to the audience for being part of the experience. Thai Kon dance drama. In Thailand's Kon dance drama, ritual is at the heart of performance. It begins with ceremonial prayers and offerings to seek blessings for success. The audience is encouraged to engage, cheering or applauding to show appreciation. This creates a lively, shared cultural celebration. At the end, closing ceremonies are held to thank both the spectators and the spirits, completing the cycle of ritual and performance. Mongolian traditional art of Kume. Kume, or Mongolian throat singing, is also deeply ritualistic. It is a unique vocal technique, producing 2 or more pitches at the same time, often mimicking the sounds of nature like wind or water. There are different styles, such as siget, whistling tones, kargira, deep growls, and kume, harmonic overtones. Kume is performed within a cultural and spiritual context as a way to communicate with nature, honor ancestors, and connect to the spirit world. It can be sung solo or with traditional instruments like the morin khor, the horsehead fiddle, making each performance both artistic and ceremonial. As we can see, performance and ritual go hand in hand. These art forms are not only creative expressions, but also spiritual practices, cultural preservers, and ways of uniting communities through tradition. Let us move on to Activity 5. For this task, choose one of the featured Asian folk arts: Kabuki theater, Chinese shadow play, Taikon dance drama, or Mongolian kume. You will complete the diagram using a beginning, middle, end organizer. This organizer will help you summarize what you've learned about your chosen folk art. Feel free to pause this video or go back to the previous slides to review the information before completing the diagram. Take your time, write clearly, and be creative in how you present your answers. All right, learners, let us now move on to our 4th subtopic, material culture. Material culture refers to the physical objects, costumes, instruments, and props that are used in Asian folk arts. These are not just decorative, they are important because they carry meaning, tradition, and help bring the performances to life. Let's see how each of the featured Asian folk arts uses material culture to make their performances more meaningful and unique. Japanese Kabuki theater uses elaborate silk costumes, wigs, makeup, props, and live music from instruments like the shamisen and taiko drums. Even the stage itself, with trapdoors and revolving platforms, is part of the culture. Chinese shadow puppetry features detailed puppets made of leather or paper, shown behind a screen with colorful backdrops and traditional music to bring folk stories to life. Taikon dance drama, known for its ornate costumes and masks that represent mythical characters, paired with music and stage designs that highlight Thailand's cultural richness. Mongolian kume, throat singing, focuses on traditional Mongolian attire and unique instruments like the horsehead fiddle and 2-stringed lute, creating an authentic cultural soundscape. Okay, folks, let's move on to Activity 6. Name that folk art. Here's what you're going to do. I will show you several images, and your task is to identify which representative Asian folk art each image belongs to. Write the letter of the correct answer in your notebook. A for Japanese Kabuki theater. B for Chinese shadow puppetry. C for Taikon dance drama. And D for Mongolian traditional arts of kume. Look carefully at the costumes, masks, puppets, instruments, and stage designs in the pictures. These are your important clues. Let's test your memory and see how well you remember the material culture of these amazing folk arts. It's now time for Activity 7, Concept Mapping. In this task, you're going to complete the concept map by filling in the important characteristics of Asian folk performing and visual arts. Think about what makes them special, the traditional techniques that have been passed down for generations, the symbolism and meaning behind every mask, movement, or design. the performance and rituals that bring communities together, and of course, their material culture, the costumes, props, instruments, and all the objects that make the art come alive. This is your chance to organize everything you've learned into one big picture. So sharpen your minds, connect the ideas, and show how these unique elements all fit together in the world of Asian folk arts. Up next is Activity 8. In this activity, you will apply what you've learned about the distinct characteristics of Asian folk performing and visual arts. Here's your guide. Think about the traditional techniques artists use to preserve their culture. Reflect on the symbolism and meaning hidden in costumes, gestures, and colors. Recall the performances and rituals that make each folk art unique. And don't forget the material culture, the instruments, masks, props, and costumes that bring each performance to life. Your challenge is to utilize all of these elements to show how they shape the beauty and richness of Asian folk arts. Time for Activity 9. Reflection on Learning. Showcase your learning by expressing the beauty and meaning of Asian folk performing and visual arts. It's time to let your creativity shine. Create a poster that reflects what you've learned about the folk performing and visual arts of Asia. Here's how to do it. Think about the unique features of each art form you studied: costumes, masks, instruments, movements, or symbolism. Choose the elements that inspired you the most. Draw, design, and decorate your poster to capture the spirit of these arts. Make sure your work shows the connection between tradition, culture, and creativity. Be bold, be colorful, and most of all, be expressive. Your poster should be more than just drawings. It should tell a story of how Asian folk arts live on through their performances and material culture. Summative assessment time. Instructions. This is your chance to show what you've learned. You will answer an identification test. Read each statement carefully. Choose the best answer from the choices. Write the letter of the correct answer. Think of this as your final challenge. Stay focused, trust your knowledge, and give it your best shot. Are you ready? Let's begin. Wow, you made it! Great job, learners! You've completed today's lesson. Remember, learning is a journey, and you've taken another big step forward. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss our next exciting episode. Keep practicing, keep exploring, and always enjoy learning. See you next time. Bye for now.